Hey now, and welcome to episode 29 of the Help Find the Others podcast. If you've been here all along, well then welcome back. But if this is your first time listening to us, well welcome. I'm your host Rubin, and as always, my co-host Stan is on the line. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man.
Awesome. So, yeah, this episode was pretty fun. This is with Kaboo, who is your high school buddy, and I had a good time talking. Did he contact you about coming on as a guest, or did you contact him about it?
Yeah, so he's one of my friends that I've kind of just like been open with about this podcast, and due to the subject matter, it's not really something I present to everybody, but he's been my best friend, good friend for over a decade now. But he listened to a few episodes and he just wanted to hop on. So he asked me, if we needed a guest anytime soon, and he wanted to share a story.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way with, I kind of, it's not like I tell everyone like, hey, check out my podcast, but it's like when someone says something, I'm like, they might like my podcast, or they should, I throw it in there. And, I definitely have some buddies that I know would, and, that's really cool that he's, willing to come on and talk. I had a good time talking with him, and, we mainly, talked about weed and his journey with that, which, I imagine you've been a part of, and
yeah, absolutely.
Just kind of reliving dorm days and stuff like that. So thanks for having him on, and without any further ado, I hope you guys enjoy Kaboo. All right, so how you doing there, Kaboo? Thanks for coming on and talking with us. You went to high school with Stan. How was that?
It was fun, man. Stan made my high school experience bearable amidst my Nigerian upbringing. So I pretty much talk to him every day, whether that's in school or like over the phone or whatever. I think even AIM. I'm pretty sure we were on AIM heavy.
Oh,
if
yeah.
I remember correctly. Yeah. So met him freshman year, soccer, and ever since then I don't even know how we became friends for real. I don't remember the specific moment where I was like, oh, I fuck with this dude, but shit happened.
Did he show any leanings towards being a, well, I guess podcasts weren't around really much then, but towards AV broadcasting kind of stuff? Did you ever think that he would be doing something like this?
Well, he was like, at least back then, and even now, he was like a jack of all trades. Like, people would be like, oh, what's the phrase? Like, good at many things or master of none, something like that. But he was like above average in like a lot of things, not just like, moderate level. He was pretty good at like, a range of artistic things that take skill. And he was like always, self-taught. So it was like, this dude, is pretty smart, but it's just not the conventional, like, people think intellect is just based on, book smart or like, oh, what you do in school. But school is, it's just like a system. Like, you can be smart as fuck and not do well in school, So, yeah, I mean, I didn't know he would, specifically be doing some AV stuff and like, but I knew that like, he would be doing some shit where like, he could be able to provide some sort of service pretty easily with his skill set.
Yeah. So he said that you've had a interesting journey with your with cannabis in your life, and people like the drug talk on this podcast. So why don't you tell us that story?
Well, I didn't touch like, I didn't even like know where to find any type of drug or like, obtain alcohol prior to graduating high school, like until I got to college. And like, mainly because I'm a Nigerian, first generation Nigerian. My parents came over like in their late 20s, early 30s. And like, I don't know if you know anyone who is Nigerian or talk to them about, their childhood, but that shit is just like, it is like a shared experience, across the board for all like Nigerians my age. But like, it's nobody will tell you that it's like not trash, like compared to just compared to like what you see on TV or like just like experiencing your own life of just like how you interact with your parents and your day-to-day life and the types of freedoms that like you will have as a child. Like there was like 5% of that comparison like in a Nigerian household. Like basically come home, do your homework, eat, do your homework, try to get away with like doing some shit that's like fun to you, and then go to sleep. And like when I was like talking to Shram and stuff like after school, like that shit was all clandestine. It was not like I was just like picking the phone up in full view of my family. Like I was in the cut, bro. I was like on the phone, and then like if somebody would come or like my parents got home, I'm like, all right, bro, I gotta go. Deuces. I'll be on AIM later or some shit, So it's like, I can dramatize it or whatever. And if I dramatize it, it honestly won't be like that different from the actual like practical reality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't have any exposure to anything. In fact, I was probably like, yeah, I'm not gonna smoke. Like I'm not gonna touch marijuana. I'm not like people that do that are like bozos. they're going nowhere. But like that was like in high school I was like pretty like not open-minded at all, and like just like pretty closed. Like when you go to college and shit, or not even just when you grow up and like have more experiences, you realize that like you didn't know shit in high school, and you probably don't know that much shit now, but you're at least like learning and trying to learn stuff. So like got to college, my birthday is September 3rd, so like soon after first class and shit, my birthday's coming up, so I'm just like, all right, like I'm free, finally away from the parents and shit. Like I can pretty much do whatever I want, what I mean? I'm like the king of my castle, so let me start drinking. Let me try a drink. My birthday came around, I got a drink, and I was like, this shit sucks, but I like the way this made me feel. And I was like, damn, man, if I was doing this shit in high school, I wonder like what type of life I'll be leading. But like in my college, there was you're in different dorms and stuff, and I was in this dorm. I was on the 4th floor, and I made friends with these people, and one of the guys in the group of people I was fucking with, he lived on the same floor but in suite 420, and that was just a coincidence, bro. It was complete coincidence. Like this dude just happened to be like a massive stoner, like coming into college, and like he was in freaking suite 420. So like I would go to this dude's crib. And when I say that, I mean I'm going down the hall from my dorm. I go to his suite, and like in the suite there's like there's 4 rooms, or like 2 rooms with 2 people in each room. So like 1 stoner and then 3 other people that don't be fucking with that type of stuff like that. So I would go to this dude's suite, and like he had a vape, and I didn't know what that shit was, but it was just like, I guess the Volcano. I'm sure you guys know that brand. Yeah. The Volcano. And like, he had a 10-foot bag, bro. It was a huge bag that like, if you fill up the bag, that shit will touch the ceiling and like lay flat on the ceiling, because it's so crazy. So I went to his suite, and we would like, at first he didn't have this 10-foot bag. So like he offered me like the vape, and I have asthma, and like I was just like, man, I'm scared to smoke. Like I want to try it, but like I have no idea like how this is gonna affect my asthma, if I'm gonna be fucked up smoking this shit. So and he was like, bro, the vape, it doesn't even have smoke. It's mostly the vapors. And I was like, huh? I was like, okay, well, that shit, you just alleviated all my concerns. Like, let me try this shit. So I tried it, and like, I honestly can't even tell you, like, what feeling that I had. I don't remember. I just know that, like, after that, I was smoking like every day, like, every day, bro, every single day. Like, I'll go to class if I go to class, and I was like, my first year was trash. So like, I was just like, I didn't know how to cope with the freedom. So I just wasn't, I had no habits of discipline whatsoever. So like, I would go to class, maybe come home, drop my shit off in my room or not, and go straight to Suite 420 because he would leave the suite open sometimes just by putting like a piece of tape so it wouldn't lock. And I would just come in there and like, he might be in the nook. And I think Stan was actually like, he came to visit, and I think he was in that nook.
Yeah, I smoked there, dude. I smoked that 10-foot bag.
Yeah, bro, and you were in that jam.
Yeah.
And then like, so you saw that nook, you saw like the tapestries my man's had like around,
very
and, like,
psychedelic.
The lights, Christmas light, and it was cold, bro. And I can even like thinking of that space, like if I happened to like make one corner of my house or closet, like someplace where I would just vibe out, I would make it like how he had that shit, like with the lights, with the black light and like black light art and shit. Like that shit was just a good atmosphere to like vibe out and like, smoking. So like I'd be in that bitch every day, bro. And like, God, my college is like one of the top rated in terms of like student dining. So like when I say that, like I'll tell you that like we had like on a daily basis, it was like chefs, legitimate like chefs, like cooking shit. And there would be like in this glass, like, like the glass you would see at like a deli that's covering the seafood. It would have like the steaks of the day, like steaks, bro. There were like ribeyes. It would have like frog legs. It would have like just various shits, bro. And then you can just like order it, and you would pay with meal points, aka free. You just eat this, and it was different stations. So like we would get high, and we would go. It's called, well, I won't even say the name. I don't know, but it will go to the eatery and get like a shitload of good ass, fucking foods, like good ass food, and bring that shit back and max on all of it, and then just be high. And it was just nice. And I will say, like, I did terrible my first semester and my second semester, but mostly my first semester. But like, and it was likely because like I was not, I didn't have any discipline, so I just was like smoking and not doing shit and hooping and like and rapping, bro. I was rapping. That's all I was doing, and like I don't really regret it because like like I just look back, I'm here where I am today, like I'm here. So like that was like some good ass experience. Like I'm glad that I like did that, and that's kind of just like my inception into that shit. But then after my freshman year, like I started messing with my like current like forever friends, like that were in the same like dorm, but a few floors below, and like I was just messing with them heavily. And so like I just wasn't like, I kind of broke off with my other friends who I had met initially, but no love. Like it was like it's all love, but yeah, like I wasn't smoking like that. So I don't even recall like after that first semester of doing that shit every day, man. I don't recall when. I think I might have smoked again like my senior, like my senior year, second semester. Like somebody had some weed, like I was at a house party or something, and I was like, oh shit. It's like, you want some? I was like, oh yeah, I'll take some. Like I was just like, yeah, I'm fine, I'll take it. But like, yeah, nobody, like most people I meet don't know that like I had that initial stint for
the freshman year time.
Yeah, bro, that shit was just like a nonsense time. Like it was nonsense, man. It was a nonsense time, but it was like fun. Like really
I feel like everybody at the beginning of their smoke like journey starts off very heavily, at least from what I've gathered out of people's stories. Like even myself, like there's always the one time of going too far with it, and then it doesn't scare you away though, and then you just keep smoking,
Yeah, I feel like I didn't have like that time of being like, oh nah, this shit can fuck me up until like very recently. I told you about the Chiba Chew incident, which we might
Yeah.
get into. We might get into later, but like, yeah, I didn't. I just like I was in an environment where like I came from an environment where I had like parents on my ass, bro, and like just a constant like fear of like I'm gonna get scolded if I do this, or if I ask to go
Yeah.
this place, or if I
Yeah.
like don't do this, or like if I like freaking ask to. So then I was going from that to an environment of like uh ultimate freedom. Like you will not know what to do with yourself. You will just really be like, oh, I finally don't have this like
You're doing
constant.
everything.
Yeah, bro. You don't have the constant like stress of having them eyes on you, bro. Of like, because that shit is legit like a constant state of stress and anxiety. And like some people deal with it more than others, but like it is a thing and it is real, and I know it's for every Nigerian like kid. Like you have
Well,
that.
it's definitely that, and also, the fact that we went to a Catholic high school, and like just like
Yeah,
Catholic guilt, and
yeah,
just like
yeah,
that sense
bro.
of
Like,
guilt, and like if you sin, like
yeah,
it's bad, and there's nowhere in the Bible that it says that we're smoking weed and it's all good.
yeah. And then back then when you're a kid, you don't like you
You're
just
impressionable.
yeah, and you just like whatever an adult will tell you for the most part. If you think that adult like knows stuff or you respect them, then you will adopt their view because that's just what it is. Until you start like later on life like realizing that like you need to form your own opinion and like realize that like a lot of shit that is information that's given to you is propaganda, or it is like somebody is trying to you know I guess like warp something or sell something or whatever it is for a reason.
Like guide your view.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, and
Yeah.
and most of the time it's rooted in capitalism. But like that's another talk. But that's just what it is. Like the world runs on money, unfortunately, and like people are swayed, and they don't even know they're being swayed. So like once you realize like there's still a ton of people out here who will just be like I know my parents probably, maybe not my mom since she's like in a medical profession, so like she knows like it's irrefutable that there's medical positives from cannabis, but like there's a bunch of people, bro, and like I won't say they're older people, but like I would guess that they are of an older generation who are not fucking with weed based on shit, propaganda from the government. Like I've seen like there was like a History Channel like documentary about like just the way cannabis was portrayed and what like by media, by the government, and why it was portrayed that way, and it's all based on like monetary and political motivations, but like those stigmas like prevail today. Like I'm pretty sure I had adopted those views as like, oh, weed is just bad for it's bad, it's smoking. I had no actual like practical knowledge of anything about weed. I just assumed based on what I heard or knew or what my parents told me. So like, which is dangerous, because like a lot of people do not later on like realize that that's flawed. They just
I was going to say, do you think
adulthood.
I was going to say, do you think that like you smoking weed help you gain those new perspectives that, maybe some of this stuff is bullshit?
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
do you
once
think it
I
was just like,
started,
do you think it was just like general growth and maturity?
I think it's both. I mean, I know myself, so like I know what weed does to me, and I know how to be a functioning human being, like because it's not hard. You know what I mean? But like that's just me. So like I know that like I know there's positive effects, and I know that there can be negative effects, but those negative effects like are just also tied to you yourself. I don't really think like you can get addicted to weed. I know you can get potentially dependent on it, and I think addiction is a little bit different. But like, yeah, I mean, I think it's both. I think it's just me growing as a person, you know, in various ways, and also like partaking in weed and knowing that like this shit, you know, it makes me think on a different level. Not to say it's a better level, but it's different. And like stuff that I think of is like, you know, it's just a different, you know, feel than the norm, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as you were talking about like addiction with it and everything, I mean, everybody's different, you know, like, and when it comes to stigmas and stuff, it's just bizarre that there isn't a stigma with alcohol, where, you know, everyone's different with that too. Like, some people can have a drink and go out and have fun, and I mean, there's some people that they can't even have one sip without ending up blacked out and, you know, waking up in Vegas married to a stripper. You know, I mean, there's just, I mean, just everybody, you know, it's knowing yourself and knowing your limits and stuff like that. And it is unfortunate that due to those, you know, economic and political pressures, that at one point in American history, we made one substance illegal and one fully accepted, and then that stigma has lasted a couple generations now. And I mean, we enforced that stigma on the rest of the world too. I guess I don't know too much of the history of marijuana laws, but you know, I know that the United States are a huge part of that, you know, of spreading that stigma. You know, and we obviously saw other countries, you know, loosen their laws and change their laws before we did. You know, we're just doing it now, you know.
Finally.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess better late than never, but like, it's crazy how for years, bro, they're just cigarettes, bro. You can get cigarettes. You can smoke the shit out of them shits. Even your employer will allow you to take multiple cigarette breaks. Not even like that many bathroom breaks. Like, people who smoke are like accepted to take a break an hour to smoke. Yeah. And just, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, and this is a substance that like literally can kill you and can like physically affect your outwardly appearance. That's how much it can affect you. It can affect your teeth. It affects how you smell. It affects how you can even taste shit. Like, your taste buds get shot. And this has no opposition from the government because it makes money. Like the largest corporations who are intertwined with politicians and politics, because, you know, they fund they fund people and, like, you know, have people in their pocket because they fund campaigns. These are fat ass companies, bro. It's like tobacco companies. Now it's like moving away from that, I think. And now it's like, you know, pharmaceuticals and shit. But like, it's just like, we allowed that, like, our government allowed that shit. And the people are dying from lung cancer. People are getting holes in their with talk boxes and shit, to the point where like organizations are like, well, shit, we got to have a whole ass campaign for the kids to like stave them off of smoking cigarettes, bro, because like cigarettes have been made to look cool and like, you know, and it's like, damn, Dare, bro, from high school or fucking elementary was not even geared against cigarettes, bro. It was geared against like weed. And like drug, like, you know, that's crazy, bro. When there were no discernible like health findings like on a mass scale for weed, but there were for cigarettes, and yet that shit is legal as fuck. People are buying the fuck out of that because they're addicted to it. You are literally addicted by nicotine. Like, you need the shit. That shit is crazy, bro. That type of substance was made like essential to the U.S. by the government. Yeah, and weed was somehow made to be the villain's drug, like a gateway drug. Which I mean, I kind of believe it can be a gateway drug, but not for real, bro. Like, that shit is not no shit where I'm gonna be like, well, damn, let me go try some motherfucking heroin now. I've done some weed. Let me go shoot some shit up. Yeah, that's just wild to me, and it's just like, Now we're in fucking 2019. Finally, some states are legalizing it.
Yeah.
And it will probably be another 10 to 15, 20 years before like the actual federal government does it. And when they do it, it will be monetary motivation, because just here in Florida, bro, there's a push for the legalization of it. Like it's legal like medically, but like it's a push for just like recreational use. And one of the biggest lawyers in the country is like one of the main ones like pushing for this. And this man has such a stupid amount of money that he can literally like potentially make this a viable thing, like where like, you know, and he's like on his way to doing it. And I'm pretty sure it's because he has investments in you know, farms or you know, cannabis businesses over here, which is fine. That's good. But again, that's monetarily based. It just happens to be in the you know, the way that that I appreciate, because it favors me, like it, you know what I mean. But
I do think, you know, much like it was economic forces that leaned on government to make cannabis illegal, and it was mainly due to the hemp, honestly. I think, I don't think, like you said, 15 or 20 years until it changes federally. I think it'll be quicker than that, but I think it will be.
I hope so.
I think it will be economic pressure to legalize it. You know, like I don't know how much you guys listen to like AM radio or, you know, commercial radio, but there's these commercials on the radio for John Boehner, who is the former Speaker of the House, who, you know, voted down Lord knows how many bills to legalize weed. Now he's going around shilling some sort of investment course for the green rush, you know, and
oh, man.
I think what we're going to see, you know, I follow markets quite a bit and stuff like that, and see the trends that's going on in the economy. I think what we're going to see is that as the tech stocks start to slide, Netflix and Google and all this stuff, you know, there's going to have to be something else to prop up the stock market. And I do think as more states, you know, go to either medical or recreational, there's going to be so many companies that can't, you know, fully people can't fully invest in them. And, you know, the banking industry can't be involved in them, and the credit industry and all this stuff. And that there's going to be such a push to, you know, it's going to make more economical sense to legalize weed than it is to keep it illegal. You know, there's such a pressure right now for, you know, for-profit prisons and stuff like that to make it illegal, and the whole probation, drug testing industry, all of that stuff makes a lot of money off of it being illegal.
Yeah, you're right.
But I do think that the investment world will have more, will lean harder than that world is leaning right now. And I think once we reach that tipping point, you know, then we'll see it change. And I think we're at the precipice of that, especially like I said, you know, if John Boehner's on the radio talking about the green rush, like we're pretty close to.
That's fair. That's fair. I actually agree with that, because once you flesh out like how much money is in this, then it makes sense that it will follow that, you know, the government wants a piece of the monies. So
right, because right now
taxes or whatever, you know.
Right, because, you know, right now the states are making a lot of money because of the state sales tax in states that have medical or recreational, but the federal government isn't getting anything of that. You know, they're spending money trying to fight, you know, very, very specific public battles with, you know, large dispensary, you know, operations and stuff like that. And so it will make sense at some point to the number crunchers and you know, there'll just be more, you know, the policy goes to the loudest voice in the room. And I think the cannabis industry's voice is only getting louder and louder. And
yeah, that's fair.
You know, I do see it changing. I wanted to ask a question. You know, you mentioned about your parents as Nigerian immigrants and their view towards cannabis. What is like in Nigeria, what's the cannabis situation like? I mean, is it that your parents were against it because they came to this country and they wanted you to, do as well as you can in school and be as successful as possible, or is like Nigerian culture just against it?
I'm like, for me, it's just like anything that may prevent you from, like, or anything that perceived that would prevent you from like succeeding academically is bad. So that's taken to an extreme where it's like you can't spend too much time with this friend, or you can't spend too much time, on the phone or doing this. You gotta. So I don't think it's like specific to like weed. I don't even recall like my parents actually like, bad mouthing weed or anything. It just wasn't like even close to on my radar at all. And I think it was like that was just based on like just like, I don't know, not knowing like anything about it other than like it's probably bad because it's a drug. And again, just what I've seen on like TV or whatever like representations of it that like were inaccurate that I saw, that it was like wholly negative. So like it wasn't even, I don't even know for real like what the culture view, like Nigerian culture view is on weed, because like I've only recently, I guess in my opinion recently, like become a full-fledged adult and understood that like I have no, without being over there, like going to visit, I won't know. Like, so I might ask my brother, actually, he's been over there like a decent amount since the last time I've been there, which was like freaking like 2005 or something. So like he would likely know. He doesn't really like, I don't think he smokes as much as I do. I'm sure he doesn't, but like he does live like in San Francisco. So he does, so I don't know. I'll actually ask him that. Cause that's, I think it's like accepted. Like, I don't know, like if it's like illegal, like, cause the law over there is a little different. Like, it's not like a police force like we have in like the States, or like there's a very organized, police force. It's not really like that over there. So I don't really know. Damn, that's a good question.
And do your parents know now that you smoke, or
no?
Do you still have to keep it from them?
I don't like. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. There's certain stuff where I just like, I'm just not gonna tell them, because like I don't feel like dealing with. I don't feel like talking to them and trying to like, because there's some stuff I've talked to my mom is way more open to like actually having discussions, but she's gonna be stuck in her ways, I think, for the most part. And like there's some stuff I explained to her in a really, really, really logical manner that like it's like after I explain it, if you don't agree with me, then like in my opinion, you're just not gonna be open. You're stuck in your ways, because the stuff that I be talking about, like I know it, it's like for me, it's pretty much objective fact with a little bit of subjectivity. So like when I'm explaining it, and the way that I explain it, and you don't like get it, or you say something that lets me know like, yeah, you're not whatever, then I'm just not gonna, like, there's no point. So like I don't feel like getting into that type of like her being like, you smoke, and being, she'll be like, is it legal here? And I'll just be like, no. And then she'll be like, is it? No, doesn't it? And it's like, and then she'll just like any negative thing, bro, that if I tell her, she'll just attribute it to that. And like, I'm just like, that shit would just annoy me, because like it will be ignored, the fact that like I be smoking, and I'm like I work competently and pay bills, and like I'm just like living, you know what I mean?
It's the people that, like you said, it's the people that are stuck in their ways, like that older generation that was just consuming all the propaganda and believing it.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine taking something that you've understood and believed for 10 years and saying, oh, that was just a lie,
because it's like, well,
it's just like, it's such a hard thing to do. And I mean, even in my hometown, Illinois passed it recreationally, but the towns get to vote whether or not they want to uphold the law, or all small things like uphold the law there federally. If they also want to allow dispensaries to come in and all that stuff. And my hometown voted that they want to open the doors to cannabis business and, be fully legal there and all that. And like my parents, I heard at least, were, took a little shock to it and like a little bit of panic to it. And it's just the funniest thing hearing that, you're worried about some people smoking weed. And there's other things to be worried about,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see, I don't know. Like you said, it's almost, I hate saying that's a lost cause trying to convince them, but after the third time of trying to explain to my mom why it's going to be a good thing, it's just like it's definitely a lost cause.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting for me. I mean, from the moment my parents ever like told me about weed, they, the first thing I remember my dad telling me is that it's illegal and it shouldn't be, and it has ruined like tons of young men's lives that didn't do anything wrong, and so my dad was a lawyer and a judge, and he like that was before I even knew what weed was, what you did with it, where you could get it or anything like that. I already had a counterculture view taught to me from my parents. And they did not smoke it. And as I've grown up and found out more, my godparents were huge stoners that, from before I was born till now, still smoke every day. My aunt and uncle, same way. And that when we would have like family parties, they would like sneak off and smoke. Like, those are all things I found out as an adult, but it also is like, that's why my parents, while they didn't use it, had that view, that it had a personal touch to them, that, very close friends and family, used it and were, my uncle's a psychiatrist and my godfather is a pediatrician, they were professional people that kept their life together while being hippie stoners. So like, it makes sense why my parents had that view. But then also they were very aloof to the smell of it or, which is bizarre, but I guess that's because the people they know that smoked always went away from them to do it. But, I never got caught. I got caught with cigarettes, as in high school and stuff like that, but I never got caught with weed. On very rare occasions, I would smoke in the basement and they wouldn't even know, it's just kind of a weird situation. And then I got into all sorts of other drugs in high school too, just from that kind of gateway type of scenario that I attribute to its, you make it illegal. Well, now you might as well do other illegal things if you're already doing one. I don't think there's anything inherent in the chemical nature of weed to make it a gateway, but I think like that's been a, policy has made it a gateway drug. But much like you were talking about with the dorm days, I was already a very experienced, proficient, weed smoker and drug taker when I got to the dorms. But I still, that was like my heaviest smoking period was living in the dorms. So there's something about that situation, even though it was it's like you're on permanent vacation with your buddies and you're staying in a hotel, and, unfortunately every now and then you got to go to class. But the rest of the time you might as well sit around and smoke weed and play video games. Right. And so, and that was also how I made friends. I went, I was from New York and I went to school in Kentucky. I didn't know anyone. And that's how I made friends. Also, the dorms that I lived in, you could smoke in any of the rooms as long as both roommates smoked cigarettes. It was you could smoke in the dorm buildings. And my room was the only room that the two roommates smoked cigarettes. So it was the only room that basically was the only smoking room. So everyone that had a roommate that didn't smoke would come into our room to have a cigarette. So like our room just became the party room just because it had an ashtray in it, basically, you know? And I don't think I've told this story, but I made friends with these, and also, so most of the people, it was a kind of a commuter school. So even though it was dorms, most people went away for the weekends to go hang out with their friends and stuff like that. But I obviously couldn't because I was, from New York. And so there were two guys, and they were two black guys. I forgot their real names, but they were Grizz and Ree. And they couldn't smoke in their rooms. And they were from Louisville, so it was kind of a far drive. So they didn't go home on the weekends. So we became friends because they wanted to come and smoke a black and mild in my room. And then, we ended up smoking other things and just became friends that way. And I was this long-haired hippie fish head. And one benefit too was once we started smoking blunt, I taught them how to smoke a bong and they taught me how to roll a blunt. And, it was kind of a good blending of the cultures going on in that room. It wasn't room 420, but it definitely should have been. The RA on our floor didn't know what weed smelled like, but he knew like there was always smoke pouring out of our room because there could be 20 people in there smoking cigarettes any night of the week. So he never thought about, there's people hanging out in there smoking, they might be smoking weed. He didn't know what it smelled like. So this one night, Grizz and Ree had brought some girls by, and we were hanging out in my room. And, I also was using mushrooms and acid at the time. So I had a bunch of black lights and laser lights and lava lamps and stuff that they weren't used to partying with. And so we were hanging out in there with the black light on, and they started playing music and they were freestyling over it. And, the music was pretty loud. We had like 5 or 6 blunts going, and, there was, bong sitting there and everything. And all of a sudden there's a knock at the door. And without even thinking, I just opened the door. And it was the RA sitting there with a clipboard. And so it's this long-haired hippie white dude and 2 big black guys and like 3 or 4 black girls with weed smoke pouring out, rap music blaring, and it's all black lights and lava lamps in there. And I was like, oh shit, we're busted. And he was like, hey, next weekend's parents weekend. I was just, we have to sign a waiver that like you won't walk around naked or something like that. So I just had to like sign this thing. And he was like, oh, you guys have a good night. Like he had no idea that he should have broken that situation up. But unfortunately, somewhere between first semester and second semester of my freshman year, another RA came down and smelled weed coming out of our room and then told our RA, he was like, that's weed. And then from that point on, anytime we sparked anything, the cops were called.
Damn.
Luckily, we were on I ran from the cops and had to go hide shit. And luckily, we were on the first floor and you could just open the window.
Dip out.
And the parking lot was right there and you could throw stuff in someone's car or the bed of a truck or something like that. I've told this story before. I don't know if you ever heard it on one of the podcasts, but we were actually growing mushrooms. That was the first time I grew mushrooms, was in the dorms. And we got the cops called for smoking weed, and they came and searched the room. And we had gotten all the weed and all the pipes and everything out, but we didn't get rid of the bin of mushrooms. We like put a coat over it. And one of the campus cops found it and was like, hey, can you tell me what this is? And without thinking, my friend was like, that's for a biology experiment. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And put it back. He was like, was it right here? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mess that up. And he's like, it's okay. And then the other cop had found like some seeds and stems on the ground and was like, we could kick you out of campus for this. And like, we didn't get in any trouble, but it's like, are you kidding me? Like, that's how stupid cops are. So.
Dude, that's crazy that dorms were that way.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty nuts. But yeah, I mean, I've been a weed smoker my whole life, but that was, just, there was something about that dorm life, that was like the heaviest time of my life, you know. I don't know. But well, to move on from weed, you know, we talk about psychedelics on the podcast and stuff. You know, I guess, you know, what's your experience with that, or have you had any experiences with Stan, or you know, what's your take on all
With
that stuff?
wait, say that again.
With like psychedelics, like
Oh
mushrooms
yeah,
or
so
acid or anything?
yeah, I haven't actually tried it. I've been like wanting to at least shrooms, but like I just like haven't. I think I had the opportunity to potentially cop some. Um, I went to this event a couple weekends ago. That's just like some like kind of secret like cannabis event, put on by this group who does like they do multiple events like every month, or at least one event a month. And like some of the vendors, in addition to like weed and dabs and whatever, were selling shrooms, and I was like, damn. They selling shrooms, and I didn't like. I should have brought more money, but I only brought like a limited amount of money. So like, I had already copped a bunch of stuff and didn't have enough like much money left over to splurge on some shrooms. But like, it's definitely something that I want to try like in the near future.
Yeah.
That and potentially LSD, but I'm a little bit wary about that.
Well, and I think you kind of like dipped a toe in when you took way too much.
Well,
of
that was a mistake, bro. I wholeheartedly believe that was just a jag, bro, a mistake.
But I'm just saying, you could easily have a psychedelic experience with an edible. I believe, and how much did you end up? How much? What happened
like that?
with
when you put it like that, okay. So
what happened with your situation?
Yeah, I was at the crib, bro, and
where'd you get this stuff from?
So there's this company, and I don't know if it was this Bud Box company. I don't know if you heard of that, but they like you can cop like packages like just on the internet, and you have to like have a password to even access the site or whatever. So I got the edible, the Munch Box, I think it was called, and it just had a variety of edibles. Like there was and then like officially like stuff from like Denver and stuff, like officially packaged company like paraphernalia. So I got there was a brownie in there. There was some cookie. There was this like pretzel, peanut butter edible shit. There was some fruit chews, and then there was a Chiba Chew. And I think I heard about Chiba Chew from Stan because like he had just he just knew about them so I was like okay, I got this Chiba Chew. So one day I'm with my girlfriend and we're just like, let's try the Chiba Chew today. I think it's a Saturday. So we look at it. I'm like, man, let's just take half. Like, we'll take half of it, right? We'll just take half. So I took 1/2. She took 1/2. The shit tastes like a Tootsie Roll. I'm like, damn, this shit is the most like good tasting edible that I've had. Like, I don't really taste any, weed in it at all. So we're chilling, bro. The stuff starts to hit some type of way, like where I'm just like, damn, like this shit, damn. And like we're like, I don't remember what we're watching, but we are like having a fucking good time, bro. Like we are laughing hard and like just like making some type of clever connections, and like we was on some sort of wavelength, bro, for like 30 to 45 minutes, bro. We was having some good ass fun, like. And then it just went south, bro. It just declined like quickly. Like we're sitting there, and I think like when we were having a good ass time, we had already like eaten food like a lot, and then I just had some Ben and Jerry's in the fridge, a pint. I maxed on it. I finished it, and like that was the second mistake. First mistake was taking the Chiba Chew. The second mistake was eating the whole fucking pint of ice cream as if it was nothing. So we're on the couch, bro, and we just start feeling like, for lack of a better word, just crazy, bro. Like I was just like, what's going on right now? Like, and the feeling I had was just like something's happening, but I think I don't like it. I think it's gonna get worse. So like, of course, yes, it got worse. So like, I just start like getting intense nausea, bro. Stupid intense nausea. And I'm like, bruh. And I told my girlfriend, I was like, I gotta go upstairs. Cause I'm thinking I gotta like the bathroom's upstairs, our room is upstairs. I'm like, I'm about to just throw up. And I go to the bathroom upstairs, bro, and I'm just over the sink, like contemplating everything. Everything in my life. I was just like thinking like, God, please help me, please. I can't do it. And it was just some sort of thought process where like my mind was racing so ridiculously, but it was also like time was going slow, but in reality, like time was moving fast, bro. Like, so I'm over the sink for like at least 30 to 45 minutes, just like trying not to throw up. Like, right. I'm just like, I'm trying. And then I'm like, I just will myself. I'm like, I have a stomach of steel. I'm good. And I go downstairs because I'm like, man, my girlfriend is downstairs. Like, if I'm feeling like this, I know she's not feeling good either. So like, I gotta go check on her. So like, I go down the stairs. Mind you, I take the stairs one at a time. It's like a steep stairwell. So I don't really know how long it took me to get down the stairs. Yeah, and then when I say one at a time, I mean like 1 foot, second foot on the stair. 1 foot, second foot, rest. 1 foot, second foot on the stair, and go all the way down. Like, hang on to the walls as I'm heading towards the living room. And then my girlfriend's in the bathroom, like that's downstairs, and like I'm just like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm okay. No, not really." And I'm just like, "Okay, I'm gonna." And then I just was like, "I gotta go." And I just went back upstairs, bro. And again, like I was rushing, but I took the bitches one at a time again to go up, and I just did it a little bit quicker this time because I was just like, the consternation, bro, was too much. I was just like in stress. Went to the bathroom upstairs, and I just hurled. I just threw up, and it pretty much was just that ice cream. That's what I recall. Like that's the memory of just throwing up that ice cream and being like, oh my fucking goodness, what the fuck? And I was still fucked up, bro. I was fucked up to the point where like I think I just had to lay in the bed. Like I was debilitated. So after I threw up, like I just like curled in a like almost a fetal position in the bed and just was just there like praying that like my girlfriend like will be okay and come upstairs. And like I think she came upstairs eventually because she was just like, I guess, in a better state than I was. And she just like, I think just laid in the bed with me, and then like we were like in and out of sleep some type of way, or like I think I woke up again at like 2 or something, 2 in the AM, and I was just like, fuck, I still don't feel good, so let me just go the fuck back to sleep. But I feel a little bit better than I did earlier, but I still feel like shit. Like it's best to just go to sleep. The next day, both of us were like, yeah, we were like, yeah, we're gonna take a break from like anything weed related. Like just the smell of it, like was just like triggering that terrible feeling that I had, like right, like when I was trying not to throw up, and then like right when I threw up, all of that, I was just like, oh my god, and like took like a week off. And that also that following day, like I told Stan about this. I think it was the following day. Was it the following day or sometime? And I was just like, bro, did I tell you about what happened? And like I asked him. I still had like the package of the Chiba Chew, and like that just said 100 milligrams. And I was like, Stan, I was like, this should say 100 milligrams. And he was like, bro, you guys took like terminal illness dosage levels of the Chiba Chew. That's why you were fucked. And I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, bro, like the regular shit is like 10, 15. maybe 20. And y'all took 50. And I was just like, oh my God, that makes a lot of sense. So, okay. Because I was really mystified. I was like, bro, like, how can this small little thing, half of this shit, like, finish me like this? Like, it has to be something wrong. And I was like, okay, well, that's what was wrong. And I'm over here thinking, like, damn. So if a freaking terminal illness patient, like, takes that, will they be okay? Like, that's how they'll be? They'll just be okay? Like, will they be good? Because, like, that shit, the way I was feeling, I was like, damn, like, having cancer, like, that shit gotta be, I mean, I know it's trash, but, like, for that, like, that type of dosage will, like, make it bearable.
Yeah.
Then it's like,
well,
damn.
yeah, and I feel like that was just like an introduction, like when you were explaining like time going slow but fast at the same time. I feel like that like distortion was like somewhat psychedelic in description for sure.
Yeah. Because like when you said that like that level of edible like it was like kind of like similar or at least have some psychedelic qualities. I thought about it and I was like, yeah, the way my brain and head was feeling, and I can't even recall. Like I know I texted all that shit. I gotta look through my text just because I was describing that shit, and it was like pretty close to the event. So I was describing that shit, how that shit was feeling, bro. And right now, like I remember, but like not the same as like how I described it. So like I can't capture it the same way. But that shit was crazy, man. It was legitimately. I will never do that shit again. But like. And then now I'm like wary about freaking edibles. Like I'm just like, man, I'm definitely not trying to err on the side of taking too much. So like, if I don't know how much this shit is, man, I'm probably gonna take too little, and it's probably not gonna do anything. But like, it's better than taking too much and feeling that shit again because that shit, oh god.
Yeah, that's I've never had the Chiba Chews, but I knew that you only want to like nibble them. It's not like a like a Starburst or whatever.
I wish I knew that shit.
But
though.
that's
how I treated it.
I do. I really have come to prefer the edible effect, and I forgot that it's like when you eat weed, like it turns into a different chemical in your liver or whatever. And it is more psychedelic. I like it for floating and meditating and stuff like that. Obviously I don't take 100 milligrams to do that. But I will say like my last batch of weed, I decided like I usually buy like a quarter at a time, and I don't smoke too much, so it lasts quite a while. But I decided to I was going to make butter or edibles. And I decided that, I read some article about making capsules, with coconut oil, and you can make them pretty potent if you use less oil than you would normally to make butter to put in brownies or chocolate or anything like that. So I decided to get a half, and then I was going to, have a quarter to smoke and a quarter I was going to make this oil with. And so, and actually, maybe we'll put the link to this recipe because it's awesome, and I'm going to do it like every time I buy weed now.
Yeah.
But the key ingredient, and I've never bought this stuff to use it, and I forgot what it does, but I mean, it's some sort of fat that binds to THC, and when you are making the butter, it pulls more THC out of the weed. Is soy lecithin. And you combine that with the coconut oil, and then simmer, ground up weed in there. And you have to also decarboxylate the weed in your oven first at a low temperature for like an hour and a half, which makes your house reek like weed. But but it's worth it because that also like it makes more THC available to be soaked up by the fats that you're going to mix it with. And then take that, strain out the weed. And then I took, a spent mushroom spore syringe I had. And I filled up, the same way I fill up like capsules for kratom or anything. I have this little like capsule machine that it puts like 50 at a time and you can fill them. And I used that needle and filled up the capsules and then just capped them and put them in the fridge to solidify it. And I also put a whole gram of CBD in with the oil and mixed it up before I filled the capsules.
Wow.
I think that actually helps with like I haven't taken too much of it. Like one cap is really good. Like it's kind of like taking 2 hits of weed, it's just like a good uplifting buzz.
Hey man, you got to share this. This is
yeah. We'll put the link when we post the video on YouTube or whatever. But I think the CBD, helps if you did take a bunch of these pills and got to near a level you were at. I think the CBD kind of counteracts the like anxiety aspect, which can like make the nausea more and stuff. I don't think the ice cream helped your case, but
it might have been a mix of the fat ass amount of ice cream but I want to say that my girlfriend also threw up, and I don't think she had.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't taken 100. Like I don't know what the milligrams are and what I made, but I know it's not 100. But it's good in that one pill. Like you feel it, and then you're like, I can take another one. Oh, I can take another one. And it's a little easier to like dose your way up to being like, all right, I'm good in stone now, But I really like it, and it's like, for as stealthy as vaping, like a cartridge kind of thing can be. I also don't like that that's just THC, and like I don't know, I get kind of like burnt out on the carts. And making this oil, I mean, it's obviously all the cannabinoids that are in the plant gets sucked out by the fats, and so it's really like a condensed edible in one little pill. And I really like it. It's kind of like my thing now. I'm going to Mexico in a couple weeks, and I'm gonna take that on the plane with me and stuff. So so I definitely recommend for anyone to check out that link when we post it, because it was a great recipe, and it was a game changer for me with weed, really.
Man, that sounds efficient and sounds clandestine and sounds perfect. That sounds pretty good.
But I definitely, this has been like the year of CBD, at least in my area. They've legalized it in Ohio, and you're starting to see it in like grocery stores and stuff like that. I saw in Kentucky where my parents are, like there's just stores everywhere. And I like it, to take it for all the stuff that we've talked about, but I think it really mixes good with edibles too, to get, because of how psychedelic they can be. I think it really curbs that anxiety that can come with psychedelics, because I've actually taken it before. I've taken it my last LSD trip, and like it really kind of smoothed everything out. And so it does the same thing with THC. So whenever I make those pills, I'm going to throw the CBD isolate crystals in there for that reason.
I think CBD, my girlfriend enjoys CBD for calming and like anxiety reducing features. And I think that like a mix of it with THC, the way that you're mixing it, and whatever ratio that you've achieved, that just sounds like a really healthy medium.
Yeah.
That like,
and I think CBD gets too much, it gets pumped up too much for its like pain qualities and stuff. And it's like, I think like a lot of people try it because they have a bad back or something like that. I don't really know if it's that powerful. Maybe you got to take like mega dosage, but the stuff's so expensive. Like, I don't know if that's really worth it for pain issues, but I do find like for anti-inflammation and anxiety and sleep, it's really good for that stuff too, to just take on its own. But I was listening to Kevin Smith on Joe Rogan's podcast either yesterday or the day before, and he's like has like a brand of weed that like some guy is growing for him or whatever, and he has this like super potent sativa that's like 45% THC, but they also breed it to be like 30% CBD. And he said it's like the perfect mix. And I think it's called Snoochie Boochies or whatever. I mean, it's like all the strains he has are all named after like, Jay and Silent Bob movie quotes and stuff like that. But yeah, he was talking that's like the new movement in like kind of these, hybrid grows and strains that they're creating, is to like have high THC and high CBD at the same time. And it's, much, people freak out on sativas and say they don't like them and stuff like that. And like, they're saying that really curbs that aspect of the high THC sativas. But it's pretty cool that we're going that way. Like, when I was in high school, well, at least like the first 10 years of being a pot smoker, I was smoking like dirty ass brick weed that, like, if you ask someone what kind of weed it was, they would say it's green, and like to go to now where we're like, injecting specific flavors into weed and, have the
cross straining and
chemical analysis and everything.
Like having
crazy.
Yeah, there's like weed that's the father, like there's fathers or mothers of like certain types of weed, and like it's like this is the progeny of this weed and this weed, and it's this weed and this weed, and people are just like going deeper and deeper into like creating strains that achieve their specific like desired effect that like they fuck with, and many people would fuck with.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to talk about was that if you don't mind talking about it, that you're an attorney, and you heard our episode a while back where I was describing my jury duty experience, and that you had some thoughts on that. What was your initial reaction to hearing my story?
So yeah, like that I think that story was pretty like enlightening, and to the real like practical experience of like a person who just goes to jury duty, right? Like you had all the misgivings and all the like, well, I'll say like an intelligent person who went to like to jury duty, because a lot of things you were saying are like actual things that I would hope a regular citizen would consider when they're in jury duty. But yeah, like jury duty is something like from the attorney side that's just like one of the, if not the most important part of a trial, aside from in terms of the actual like trial procedure of like, it's called the technical term for like, choosing the jury is called voir dire. And it's like it's basically, you ask what you were describing, the attorney asks you questions, or asks, the jury pool questions, and these questions are loosely based on the actual facts of the case that will be presented. And the questions they ask, all of them are very specific, and all of them are very important. And when they decide to strike somebody, it's because they've done the research. Like when they got your names like on the sheet or whatever, I guarantee both lawyers took a picture of it, sent it to their paralegals. The paralegals started doing research on everybody on site, and you get that basic information. You get information like, okay, do they rent or do they own? And a lot of it is, a lot of what, at least as a defense attorney, what I would want in a juror, unfortunately, because like, this is just how it is, with somebody who has, who owns property. I'll look at their political affiliation. I'll look at their criminal history. I'll look and see if they have any other, like any lawsuits, whether they were defense, whether they were against a company like my client or what. And then there's other aspects in addition to that. But like, look at all that stuff, and the people who like, probably own property and don't have any other, depending on their age and, what their political affiliation is, you determine if they'll be good for your case. And if not, you strike them. And after you have people that you definitely strike, whether they have like some weird views or like, or just don't seem like they would, be receptive to the actual facts of the case. They have some preconceptions. Once you strike them, you have, the people that you're okay with, the people that you like, and the people that like might get on there that you don't like. And then after that, then you get to the freaking trial, and you get to like presenting your case well and all of that. But like at the end of the day, the people on the jury, the people that you want, like definitely to decide the case, because they're likely going to sway your way. So it's just like the importance of it is like more than people really like give it credit for, because like at the end of the day, your decision, your judgment is going to affect somebody's life in some sort of way, and it'll either affect justice or it won't. And there's in civil cases, there's ways of that going really bad, and then there's ways of it like going well and going to like in a way that like not everybody wins, but it's not as bad as it could be. And same thing with criminal, like it could be pretty bad or it could be like bad, but like it's not as bad as it could be. But in any event, like like the jury duty jury duty is important, because you're affecting somebody in this like significant way.
So I didn't know that. So they do research on everyone like in the whole pool before they even know who's going to get called up actually into the box.
Oh yeah, so usually with voir dire, there's like a whole there's like a pool of like the parties agree, the lawyers agree on how large the pool should be, and typically I want to say it's like between like, depending on the trial, so like it can range from like a smaller pool, 18, 20, and then a larger pool like the upper 20s of people, and then from there you do the voir dire process, and depending on the trial and how many questions the attorney asks, because I know I had one trial, the other attorney, the plaintiff's counsel, asked like his voir dire took a long time. Like we were supposed to like start fact witnesses the first day, and like voir dire took the whole day, and we had to come back the next day. But yeah, I mean, like they ask questions, like any questions, and I think you said you weren't really asked that many questions. I don't recall how many questions you were asked, but like the attorneys didn't really like ask you too many questions. But they just ask questions and try to like infiltrate, and it's pretty like specialized. Like you have to be pretty skilled to like be good in voir dire, because like there's some firms that just like hire other firms who like specialize in like trial and voir dire, like jury selection specifically, and like we'll contract with them and then like hire them out, they'll do the voir dire, and then that's it. So like it's just like pretty important. People make some big bucks from that, but like yeah, it's like you ask them questions, and then from that pool, the jury of however many people, 6, 7, whatever, however many people it is, depending on the trial, will get chosen from there, and then it'll be an alternate. And I don't remember if I think everyone like hears the case the same. You don't know. I don't think you know that you're an alternate. Like you just are. Like we know that who the alternate is, but like you don't. But yeah, like out of that pool, once we get the like your names, we immediately, like I know for our trial, we immediately like took a picture. I sent it to paralegal, sent back information on each and every one of them. And we're doing this while the plaintiff's attorney is doing his voir dire, and he's asking the questions. So like, and it's taking a long time. So the information's rolling in, and like, I'll get it and I'll show it to my boss. Be like, all right, well, let's strike that dude. Okay, we can keep him in for now. Okay, we can strike him. Okay, we'll keep this is a list of people I want to keep, and then I'll have a list, and then narrow that down. And it just goes like that. And you got to just be like freaking focused and like writing down. I was just writing down notes on what everybody said, just to like show it to my boss and be like, yeah, this man said this, or he'll look at it and be like, okay, that's fine, this is good, blah 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 blah. And like, I firmly believe that like a very large part of how we like won that trial was because of our jury selection, having a good jury, having a good person who will like lead the charge, and that shit is good.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if there's like difference in state laws because this trial, I would say
there is.
Yeah, the original pool was probably about 30 people, and then they randomly called 14 people up, 2 being an alternate, and the judge, they called what seat you were in, and then like 13 and 14, he told them, you're alternates or whatever, and then the judge just asked if anyone couldn't do it or didn't think they could, and they went through that and then replaced some people and whatever. But then the voir dire part, like, maybe took an hour. Like, I don't think they researched any of us. They asked questions or whatever, but once we sat in the box, like that was kind of it. And they each attorney got to strike 5 people. And I don't even think they struck all 5, actually. I can't remember that specific, but yeah, like, they asked questions, looking at how the case went. They were definitely, trying to get a certain kind of person, the defense and the prosecution. And that's what's so messed up is like, I kind of felt that and answered, the way like the defense attorney asked, and they said, we're just going random on the list. And the defense attorney asked, do you think anyone, can be found guilty in a court of law, even though they're not? And I was like, absolutely. I was like, I think that happens more times than we want to talk about. And I think that, for as much as we want to say that you're innocent until proven guilty, that it's the way the court system is set up, it's often the other way around. I thought that was a great answer to get me kicked off by the prosecution, but they didn't.
Yeah, like it just depends. Like some attorneys can sniff out like someone that they like the way they talk or the way they answer a question. They're like, okay, this guy's smart, I want him. Because like it all depends on the attorney. Like, and I don't want to say like it's a sixth sense, but I do think like there's a sense that you can have that you can feel out a person by how they're speaking to you, and unless they're just good at masking it, for whatever reason. But like it's just like a skill. So like, and it just depends on the attorney too with how long it takes, because I don't think my boss, I don't think his took more than 20 minutes, if that.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, the other attorney said so much and was like, he's pretty charismatic too. So it wasn't like it wasn't entertaining. It was very entertaining, but like it was, it took a long time. It was getting into it. So like we had a lot of information from his. And then at the end of the day, there's also like some jurors who like both attorneys like, and they're like, they agree, like, yeah, okay, we're fine with him.
Yeah.
So they might not use other strikes. But yeah, that shit is you got chosen, man. Like, and I'm glad you were chosen because, like, you listened and like heard everything, made evaluations, and did your best in terms of determining what the right choice was. So
yeah,
that's all we can ask for.
Yeah, it was
a perfect system.
It was a weird case because, and especially, well, I mean, I would hope that attorneys know that, and judges know that, unless you fully sequester a jury, like you can tell them, don't Google this case, don't look up this case, don't talk to anyone about it. I would hope that everyone's aware that everyone's going to talk about it. And so,
yeah, it's kind of an accepted thing. Like, you can't, you got to just accept that. Like, people are curious.
Yeah. And so, that was the first thing I did. I think in my car, I Googled the case, and my dad being a lawyer, like, I mean, I think he was the first person I called too. And, I went in to the next 2 days of the trial being like, I don't care what anybody fucking says. This guy's not guilty. I can't say guilty, And I really can't tell. And when we did the podcast, I was still very upset about the whole situation. Like, I feel like I was forced into it, and that you should be able to just be like, no, I don't want to fucking do that, and not be in contempt of court and not have a warrant, a bench warrant out. Like, you should be able to just decline. And so I was very upset about that. But, as I've thought about it, it's like, I definitely did, listen to, there were some people that had the opposite view of me, that as soon as they found out that this was a child that had died and this guy probably did it, or did something to cause it, they were never going to say not guilty, And so, like, there was already that impasse philosophically, in the juror room. I don't know if I was like peer pressured into being like, yeah, okay, or whatever. And it came down to the wording basically of like, this guy's inaction was as damaging as what the prosecution says his actions were. And so it just seemed, though, like the whole system is set up to peer pressure people into just going along, and it's tilted towards the prosecution that way. I mean, would you think so?
I don't know. I think for criminal cases, it's a bit different because, I mean, there's going to be a stigma against the defendant just by the nature of, our criminal system. Like, somebody's accused, they just look guilty. Like, when you're accused or you're charged, there's too many aspects of our society that punishes that, because, if you get accused of something or you get charged with something, you have to report that on whatever, like your job application, etc. Even if you were acquitted, or even if you were found not guilty, whatever. So, like, and it can affect your life. So, like, there's just like kind of a slight unfair, it's a handicap for the defendant in a criminal case. So I think I agree with you in that sense on that side. But for civil, I think it's just different motivations. Most of the time, it's not a criminal penalty. It's either, it's a defense verdict and the defense doesn't have to pay anything, and potentially the plaintiff has to pay, like, fees and costs for the attorney, which can rack up to quite a lot, or the defendant is, does not get a defense verdict. There's a plaintiff verdict, and the defendant has to pay out a certain amount of money, or less money if there's some like comparative liability that's found in the case. Yeah. So, like, it's just like, in that case, I think it's more of I don't think there's a handicap per se. Yeah. If the case is one that's not like a bad case, like for you, if it's one that's like, could literally, like, there's points on each side, but obviously you defend your point and you believe in your position and your client's position, but, like, it can it's up in the air. You never really know. And I think in those situations, it's likely that, it's still that dynamic of, like, some peer pressure, but it's in a different way. It's whoever in the jury box or whatever has the loudest voice or the most articulate or intelligent point, or is the foreperson and is guiding, and it's the one that's guiding conversations about the points, the actual valid points that the attorneys make for each side. So I think it just depends. It's different for criminal. It's different for civil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely wish it would have been a civil case, because I think I could have kind of stuck to my, original kind of philosophy a little better. And even if it was a criminal case that was some sort of victimless crime or, whatever, like, if it was a marijuana possession, like I could be like, I don't agree with that law, so he's fucking not guilty. I don't care if there's a picture of him,
Yeah.
with holding the plants up. Like, it doesn't matter. I could stick to my guns more. This was just, in this specific case, I mean, I would have to be a pretty stubborn, cold-hearted bastard to just sit there, in this jury room with autopsy photos of a child and stuff on there and just be like, no, he's not guilty. Nope, not guilty, not guilty. Even though, there's still enough doubt in my mind of the original case. And that was part of the problem is, and maybe that's a state thing too, but like, they didn't go into anything from the original case. It was like exhibit 1 was he was found guilty of assault. He's in jail right now for this assault. The kid died. And we were basically deciding, did he die because he was a vegetable from this accident that happened? And it's like, well, yeah, obviously. But that was not what we were supposed to. We weren't supposed to expand on that.
Yeah, I understand. I know what you're saying too. I think that I don't know how that was like let in as an exhibit. Other than like, I'm not sure about criminal laws compared to civil, but like I feel like the guy's attorney just probably wasn't good. So like he just didn't like make whatever proper objections or you know what I mean. So like I know in civil cases there's a bunch of stuff that you argue about before the trial what you argue about what evidence can come in front of the jury and like some stuff, a lot of stuff that may seem relevant or probably is relevant, but it's prejudicial in some other way will get excluded and you can't put it in front of the jury. Yeah. Because like it would affect them in a way that's not like, right. So there's a lot of stuff that you can get excluded and you do that through motions and you argue the motions and the judge decides. And then if the other person brings it up, like in trial, you object and, the judge is like, hey, warned you, whatever. But yeah, I think that like there's just like stuff you can exclude. So it's kind of wild to me that would be let in, and then the jury is really not supposed to consider that. I don't know. Like,
yeah, no, I mean
that would not affect your view.
Yeah, no, I mean we weren't allowed to, see the medical reports of when he first came to the hospital, the EMS report, like none of that. We were just supposed to be like, well, the system found him guilty. The system is infallible. Make the connection between that injury that he's guilty of and the eventual death years later. And that was what we were supposed to do as jurors. And it was like, how is that a fair system? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, in that specific case, like I said, the terminology of the law of, child endangerment can stem from inaction as much as action. And he obviously did not handle the situation right and possibly made everything worse and led to the extreme.
It's not far-fetched that he was charged and convicted of whatever.
Yeah. And then unfortunately, if I was his defense attorney, I would not have let him take the stand. Cause like, that was like kind of the nail in the coffin for him, was like, he really didn't have a good, like there was nothing to go on. Like I was like staring at him, not talking and like making up this kind of like story for him. But then when he told his story, it's like, come on, man.
Terrible. Terrible. Yeah. And if you don't prep your witness or your client or whatever to do that, like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's just like, if you have to put him on the stand in the first place, and it's like, you're probably not like, you're doing some Hail Mary shit. So it's not good for you.
Yeah. But it was definitely weird. I hope I don't ever have to do it again. They said that as long as I live in my county, like there's some sort of note that like anyone that was on that trial doesn't have to do jury duty again. So hopefully I don't find myself in that position anymore.
You need to, if you do get found in that position, bro, you just need to either sound pretty stupid and they'll be like, all right, I don't want this guy because he has some weird views, or like look disheveled some type of way, or just like do something, like, you know, it's not really hard to get stricken, brother. Like you can even just look a type of way and be like, yeah, that guy looks like a hillbilly or looks like a whatever.
Yeah, just wear a Make America Great Again hat or something.
Yeah, well, depending, I don't know. You might be kept depending on the case. But yeah,
we
man,
want this guy.
He's like, hold on, yeah, that one right there, definitely. But yeah, like this, it's just yeah, some people just don't get chosen. Like lawyers don't get chosen. Like I will never get chosen for jury duty. I wouldn't, even if I stopped practicing, if I said that like I went to law school, because when we were doing our voir dire and striking people, like it was just assumed, and we wanted this person obviously, but it was assumed that the woman who was revealed to be a paralegal for her husband's defense firm should get stricken. Like she's gonna get stricken because like she'll likely favor the defense, you know, and stuff like that. Oh, like this person is works in the school, but their husband is a, you know, insurance defense lawyer or is a plaintiff's lawyer, you know. And that's the type of stuff we be researching, like who is, like, what are this person's ties? That's the type of stuff that they ask, like in voir dire, like, where do you work? Oh, how long have you been working there? Oh, okay. What's your husband? And some people are talkative. They'll be like, yeah, I used to work for blah, 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 but my husband is a lawyer, and they'll just volunteer that information. And maybe they're doing that strategically to get stricken, or maybe they just are just talking, like being honest. But yeah, like there's some certain things you can say that can get you stricken. Oh, I used to date a defense lawyer. I actually cohabitated with her for a little bit. Like, oh, that means you were hearing defense stories every day, probably, or maybe, you know, at least sometimes. So you might favor, you know, the defense. So we don't want that guy. Plaintiff is going to strike him, just in case you ever get chosen for jury duty. Same with you, Stan. If you get chosen.
It's crazy, man. It's like a high stakes picking teams.
Yeah, man. It is literally high stakes. Yeah. And when you're through the trial, you're like, you're kind of like, you know, you're talking to the jury a lot. So you're kind of like, well, not a lot, but like in certain times you're talking to the jury. You're kind of like looking at them and seeing their reactions when you say certain things, and seeing like, okay, this person is with me. And like, and you're throughout the whole process, you're like, okay, we probably got this person. Dude, let's see who we can get. Like, can we get this person? And you go like that.
Yeah. Well, shit, man. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up or talk about?
No, man. I think we covered a lot. Some good conversation.
Rubin, anything?
No, yeah, we're at an hour and a half. I think that's good length.
Oh, yeah, man.
But yeah, thanks, Kaboo, for coming on. It was great talking to you, and hopefully we'll talk again.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me, man. This is fun.
Absolutely, dude. Take care, man.
All right, boys.
As always, thank you for listening to the Help Find the Others podcast. Please don't forget to check out our Discord server to connect with our growing community. The link to join can be found in the description. And if you feel like donating to our channel to help us grow, a link to our Patreon can also be found in the description, as well as some cryptocurrency wallet addresses. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast or have any questions about these topics, please email helpfindtheothers@protonmail.com. If you would like to leave a voicemail or a text message question for a future episode, Stan, what's that number again?
567-233-1335.
Okay, guys, thanks again. And until next time, let's help find the others.